Okay, I think we'll go on and get started. It's 11:30. Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm Dorita Brand, the Program Director and Director of Administration at TN-CTSI, and with Margaret Lynn, who's out of the office today on vacation, welcome you to Research 103, Session 3. The goal of this six-part series is to provide advanced information for research study conduct. Research 103 follows the Research 101 and Research 102, which we offered in the spring and fall of 2020. If you were not able to attend those sessions, those recordings are available on our website, and you can go to the search engine of the UTHSC TN-CTSI website and enter Research 101 or 102 to find them. Alternately, you can always email Margaret at mlynn@uthsc.edu. We're recording these sessions, and the presentations will be available on the website soon after the last 103 presentation. And I also want, along with Margaret, want to thank UTHSC Information Technology Department for all their help with providing the technology support we need for this series. During our Zoom lectures, your microphone has been muted. You may use the question and answer function to ask questions, and we will ask those at the end of the session. If there's technical difficulties during the session and we cannot resolve it quickly, the session will be posted on our website, and you will be notified by Margaret of that availability. Please bear with us as we navigate through the remote delivery of these sessions. Hopefully we won't have any issues. You will receive an evaluation of the session by email, and after completion of that evaluation, you will receive a certificate of attendance. And Margaret usually sends those evaluations out within 10 business days from the day of the presentation. Margaret nor I have any real or apparent financial disclosures or any other conflicts of interest. So today's session is using the Research Enterprise Data Warehouse and the TriNetX for subject recruitment and RedCAP for data capture. Our speakers are Parya Zareie, Data Manager, and Lokesh Chinthala, Information Scientist with the Center for Bioinformatics at UTHSC. And Parya has over 6 years of experiences in data analytics, building and evaluating machine learning algorithms, and extrapolating conclusions from large data sets. She is an expert in the deployment of statistical principles, data visualization, data transformation, and conducting routine database maintenance as needed to ensure data integrity. Lokesh has 5 years of experience in retrospective and real-time electronic health record data collection, harmonization, and analysis with expertise in mapping clinical data to common data models. We thank both of you for presenting this information to us today, and I will turn over the presentation to you.
Thank you, Dorita, and thank you all for attending this session. So my name is Lokesh Chinthala, and I'll be talking about the Research Enterprise Data Warehouse and TriNetX and how you can utilize these resources to answer your research questions. And Parya Zareie, my co-presenter, she'll be talking about RedCAP. So my co-presenter Parya or I have no disclosures or conflict of interest. So both of us work for Center for Biomedical Informatics, so which is supported by UTHSC with a mission to develop and support statewide enterprise data warehouse. So, I mean, this can be used to perform a research to advance medical knowledge, utilizing advanced informatics techniques. So our center has in-house data scientists, and it is headed by Dr. Robert Davis, who is well-known in healthcare AI. So talking about the Research Enterprise Data Warehouse, we call it as EDW. So it is a single comprehensive and integrated repository of all clinical and research data from multiple clinical sources. So it provides a unified picture of a care a patient receives. We have data from multiple healthcare organizations from January 1st, 2014 onwards. So it facilitates investigators to retrieve data both at patient and encounter level. So currently we have data from Methodist Lebanon Healthcare, Memphis, here in Memphis. So from all of the three EHR systems, Cerner, Allscripts, and eClinicalWorks, and UT Medical Center, Knoxville, as well as from University Clinical Health, Memphis. So EDW contains data from, on demographics, visits, diagnosis, procedures, labs, vital signs, medications, and clinical notes. So these clinical notes also include discharge summary, physician, and nurse notes. So in addition to the healthcare organizations I mentioned before, so we also have, we are in the process of adding data from St. Thomas, Nashville, Erlanger Health Systems, Chattanooga, and Regional One Health, Memphis. So these are the counts from Methodist Lebanon Healthcare. So we have around, over 11.4 million encounters. So of which 72% are adult encounters, 28% are pediatric encounters. There are 1.36 million patients, of which 69 are adult patients and 39 are pediatrics. So for this 11.4 million encounters, we have 17.3 procedures, 53 million diagnosis, and over 173 million lab events, and over 83 million meds. Similarly, from UT Medical Center, Knoxville, we have 750,000 encounters from 325,000 patients, and we have 31 million lab events for these 325,000 patients, as well as 98 million vital signs, and over 20 million meds. So the meds are both ordered as well as administered. So this is how the data flows into the research enterprise data warehouse. We get data on all the domain areas from different healthcare organizations into our enterprise data warehouse. We then, combine the data, de-identify it into a limited data set. We de-identify the patient and visit identifiers, but we leave the data of service as it is in order to track the care the patient receives. So the tabular summary of the limited data set can be queried using TriNetX. Again, TriNetX is a cloud-based health research platform. So it provides visual and tabular data summary of the EDW, especially the limited data set. So it contains standardized aggregated pediatric and adult healthcare data. So it can be used as a prep to research tool, and it is available to all UTHSC resources through CBMI. So TriNetX also has a proprietary crosswalk between multiple coding systems, for example, ICD-10 and CPT, and it has data on patient level. So this is a screenshot or demographics information from TriNetX web application, which will be going in today's demonstration. So we have over 1.6 million patients from both Methodist as well as UT Medical Center, Knoxville, and 45% of them are male and 55% of this 1.6 million patients are female. So we have 40% African-American population and 51% white population. And the mean age is 41. So since we get data from multiple healthcare organizations, so there is a need for us to combine this into one data set. And since they follow different coding systems, so we have to harmonize them in the very first place. So we use a common data model called OMOP. So OMOP, as it's known as Observational Medical Outcomes Partnership, was developed by Odyssey. It allows for systematic analysis of disparate observational databases, and it transforms data to a common format and representation. So the the disparate coding systems can be harmonized and with minimum information loss. So it is designed to support the conduct of research to identify and evaluate associations between the interventions and outcomes caused by the interventions. So the interventions over here can be something related to medications or diagnosis, and outcomes can be benefits or adverse events. So in OMOP, so these are the standard tables. For example, all the demographic data in the from the data that we receive into the enterprise data warehouse from multiple hospitals can be mapped to a person table, so which is a standard table in OMOP. Similarly, all the encounter data can be mapped to the visit occurrence, and all the diagnosis and procedure codes can be mapped to condition and procedure occurrence tables. Similarly, the meds ordered and administered for patients can be mapped to the drug exposure table. Again, one of the standard tables in OMOP. All the labs and vital signs are captured in measurement table, and the clinical facts extracted from the clinical notes and structured data are present in the note NLP table of OMOP. The clinical research navigation pipeline. So if you have a clinical research question or a clinical question with research potential, and first you wanted to check if if you have enough cohort size to generate a hypothesis or to answer that question. So you can use a TriNetX, so which is again available to all the UTHSC researchers. So you can use TriNetX to generate a hypothesis and again come up with the feasibility of study. Then you can submit an IRB application. So once you have the IRB approval, then you can reach out to us to obtain the data from the enterprise data warehouse. So we extract the data based on the data variables that is approved by IRB, and we'll share that data with you in a protected Excel sheet through UT OneDrive. So we can go to the TriNetX demo. Okay, so this is the login page. Sorry, please let me know if the font size is not large enough. I can increase a bit. Okay. So once you log into, okay, sorry. Okay. So once you log into the TriNetX live website, then you can, you'll have a blank slate over here under My Studies, and you can create a new study by clicking on Create New Study, and you can name it. You can give it a name. And now I'll just select it for select it as explore patient population. I mean, you can choose the other purpose of the query too, and you can click create. So after that, you'll have two sections on your screen. So one is must have, and the other one is cannot have. So must have is your inclusion criteria, and cannot have is your exclusion criteria. And so all the data is combined under the clinical trials network of Tennessee network. So for this session, so let's let's compare the cohorts of COVID positive patients who were given remdesivir and who were not given that drug. So for that, in order to identify COVID positive patients, we can just type in COVID, and I mean, TriNetX, you can use either diagnosis codes or procedure codes, or else you can also do a fuzzy search, meaning you can just type in a keyword and it will return all the words that, I mean, it will return results with that particular word. For example, now I typed in COVID and it returned, I mean, some labs as well as some diagnosis and as well as some procedures. So if you want to limit it to particular domain, then you can click on the diagnosis, and U07.1 is the ICD-10 diagnosis code for COVID. You can click on that and click add to query. So there can be some patients who are not coded as COVID positive, but they might have a positive lab test. So we can include that patients as well. So again, you can just type in COVID and click on labs to limit the results just for labs. So I'm selecting the first one and clicking on add to query. And again, this will have both all the patients. I mean, this lab test will have all the patients irrespective of their lab results. So in order to filter only the positive COVID lab test, you can click on this funnel over here, and you can just click on positive. Click on save. And here it should be our, I mean, we are looking for either positive COVID lab test or coded U07 patients. And then you can click on count patients just to get the total number of patients. So there are 17,540 patients. And once you click on count patients, so you'll have the result of, I mean, you'll have the history of searches you made. So you can rename this query as, say, COVID-19. And in the cannot have, let's search on remdesivir. So medication. Add to query, and again you can click on count patients. So there are 16,640 patients who were not given a remdesivir drug. So you can name this as COVID-19 without remdesivir. And since we are trying to compare the cohorts, we can have another search over here. I mean, you can delete this and add to your remdesivir to your inclusion criteria. Then click patients. So there are 900 patients, COVID positive patients who are given remdesivir, and you can name this as with COVID, yeah, with remdesivir. Okay, so let's explore this 900 patients demographics. We can click on explore cohort on the left side and click run. So this is the demographic information of just this 900 patients. So the mean age is 60, and you can see the population spread as well as gender and race spread. And then you can look at the other diagnosis conditions for these patients, as well as procedures. And again, in diagnosis, you can drill down. For example, 100% of them had certain infectious and parasite diseases, and say 23% of them had other bacterial diseases. So 22% of them had sepsis, and 12% of them have other sepsis-related conditions. Similarly, you can get all the procedure information too for this 900 patients, and also the meds. And again, under antimicrobial, you can again drill down to the drugs. at multiple levels. So these are the labs for the 900 patients. So we have sodium, potassium, chloride information. We have CBC information, and also we have coagulation information, and we do have information on vitals like respiratory rate, heart rate, oxygen saturation, and all that information. So in addition to this, there is an analytical feature on TriNetX. I mean, as I mentioned, like we wanted to compare two cohorts. So you can click on analytics and click new analysis, and you can click on compare cohorts. So now we can compare COVID-19 patients with remdesivir and without remdesivir, and click go to characteristics. So we can just so we can compare the demographics and all the other information too. Okay, so the mean age, so the mean age for this patient with remdesivir is 43, and without remdesivir is, I'm sorry, with remdesivir is 60, and without remdesivir is 43. And similarly, you can have the gender information as well as ethnicity information, and also the diagnosis comparison. So 67% or of the patients who were given remdesivir had conditions related to symptoms involving circulatory and respiratory issues, whereas 60% of them without remdesivir had this same condition. Similarly, you can compare the procedures, medications of these two cohorts too. So this is one useful tool to which you can have access to, and you can explore the cohorts even without getting an IRB approval. Okay, so I think I can go to the next one. So in order to get access to or request for the data, so there is a RedCAP form on our website. So the link to which is at the end of this presentation. And in order, we do have monthly training sessions on TriNetX. So, or else if you can contact us, we can set up a one-to-one training sessions as well. And on TriNetX, there is also training videos which you can watch and gain knowledge on how to use TriNetX as well. So with this, thank you, and I'll turn it over to Parya.
Thank you, Lokesh. Let me share my screen. All right. So hello, everyone. My name is Parya Zareie. I am a data manager at Center for Biomedical Informatics here at University of Tennessee. I'm also a UT RedCAP admin. So today I'm going to go ahead and talk about RedCAP and make you familiar. It's going to be a brief introduction about RedCAP so that you'll see if this is something that you can use in your projects and study in future. So let's just move on. Okay, we'll start with what is RedCAP. So RedCAP is a secure web-based application that supports data capture and management for research studies. So it is meaning if you do have the Wi-Fi connection and a web browser, So you will be fine. You can just log into your to RedCap and use it as a data capture tool. So it is not like those applications that you need to download or anything like that. So it is web-based, so you only need the Wi-Fi connection to use it. So originally, RedCap designed at Vanderbilt University at Nashville in 2010, and it is now used at more than 2,000 institutions worldwide. So today, there are so many hospitals, universities, and clinics that they are using RedCap. So on the web, you can easily find lots of like resources regarding RedCap. And RedCap is user-friendly, menu-driven processes for rapidly developing databases. So I'm going to show you today like a brief demo on RedCap, so you will see how it is easy to use, it's super user-friendly, and as I'm mentioning here, you do not require in-depth IT knowledge or constant IT tech support to use. If you just have like a very basic knowledge of IT, you can easily go ahead and use RedCap for your project, develop your project, and design your data capture tool. So users will be able to quickly and intuitively build and manage research data forms and surveys in RedCap. So you will see in a second. So there are some misconceptions about RedCap. So again, I'm gonna emphasize RedCap is designed for collecting information. So it is a data capture tool. So it is not a data storage system or not a statistical or analytical tool. So if you want to do some analysis on your data, you need to export your data from RedCap and do your analysis outside RedCap in the other applications. It is not a data anonymization tool. So these are some of the important, things that I need to emphasize, because mostly people just, confuse RedCap with like, even if it's a data storage or analytical tool or, those stuff. So going to features, I'm going to talk about the main features on RedCap, and I'm going to show you in the demo some of those. So you can create forms for data entry and surveys. Forms meaning like instruments. For example, if you have like demographics, visit vitals, follow-ups, whatever. So you can just create those and use them as a survey or a data entry like form. Enter data with workflow for managing the project. So this is something that RedCap does. And survey delivered to participants electronically. So there are so many ways to just send your survey to your participants. So you can either use like a public link or even customize your link to send it to your participant. You can use a QR code or even like schedule your invitation as an email to send it like in a specific like time if you want to. So you can reuse the forms for multiple events and arms. Let's say you want to collect longitudinal data. So for those type of data collection, you can reuse the, for example, let's say labs. So you want to collect data every like 2 weeks, 3 weeks for labs. So you can, just multiple that lab form and just design your events and arms and collect the longitudinal data this way. There are options for the data exports in different like statistical packages. And you do have the option to export the identified data. So I'm going to talk about that in future slides. And there is a data import feature where you can import your data if it is in the either Excel or XML formats. So if you do have your data in other formats, you can just convert it to either Excel or XML and then import it into RedCap. So these two are the only formats that RedCap accept for the data imports. So there is API capability. So if you want to connect your RedCap project to an like external software or application, you can always use like API. We can assign token to users, and you can program your, API. So the thing is, for example, one of the uses is if you want to connect your RedCAP project to, for example, a database and get the data be imported like on a regular basis, you can use API. And there are real-time quality rule checks and post-collection data query resolution in RedCAP. It's helpful. And there's a full audit trail. So meaning the PI of the project or the project manager can have access to the log files, meaning like who did what in your project, who imported data, who exported data, who created a record, or such stuff. I'm gonna show you again in the demo feature. So this is a very simple form in RedCAP. So this is a demographics form. We called it demographics. So the patient ID, which is the first field here, you can call it either patient ID, record ID, study ID, anything. This is a field that RedCAP creates by default for your project. And this is the way that RedCAP is keep tracking of records in RedCAP. So internally, RedCAP just links all the instruments or forms for a patient using this patient ID or record ID. So you never can get rid of it, but you can always edit it in edit the label to patient ID, study ID, record ID, something like that. So again, I'm gonna show you in a second. And these are some different field types that I just wanted to show you. So the first one is one of the beginning section. So, okay, let me first say in RedCAP, we do have different options for the fields. So there are so many ways. I mean, you can use drop downs, radio bottom, calculated fields, I'm gonna show you. But the first one, like here, is one of the beginning section field types. The first name here, we use it as a text box. The date of birth is a date field, and the gender, we use it as a radio bottom here. So when you click on add field bottom over here, this window gonna pops up. And here is what I'm talking about a field type. So if you open this drop down, you will see all the options. So I'm gonna show you in the next slide what are the options. And the field label is where you can just, name your field, let's say first name, date of birth, gender, whatever you want. And the variable name, you need to have the variable name for sure in your study. And the easiest way to just, keep track of the variable name is just enable auto naming for them. So RedCAP just generates the variable name for you automatically. And then there are validation. So let's say for your date, you want to go with the specific format. So you can always, select that format as a validation. So I'm gonna show you next slide. And then you can always say if the field is required or not. For example, for the first name here, we emphasize that this is a required field. So that's why the must provided value in red is here, so that the participant knows that they have to, fill out this field. And the identifier, you can always, while you are developing your project, you can always, just say if this field is identifier or not. This is going to help you in future, because in future, if you want to export your data, let's say you want to export the identified data. So this way you can just, just put the identified data aside and just export the de-identified data. And then, of course, there are some alignment customization here, and field notes is optional if you want to use. Okay, going to field types. These are the field types that you have that we already talked about. So You can have a short text, paragraph text, calculated field. So sometimes you need to use calculated field for calculating the age of the participant, for example, or the time of admission, or, and then radio bottom, drop down, check boxes, yes, no, true, false, so many different types we have here. And for the validation, these are some of the validations for date in different, formats. If you want to put the validation for email field, or like phone, US phone, zip code, those stuff. So for the data entry, there is a section on the left side menu where you can just click on the add new add new records, and then enter the data and then save the record. Again, I'm going to show you in the demo. So there is a reporting and exporting features for data in RedCAP. So as I mentioned, there are some common statistical packages for the export. So there are 6 of them. So Stata, R, Excel, SPSS, SAS, and ODM, which is XML. So you can always export the data in either of like these formats, and then do your analysis outside RedCAP. And you do have the identification options. So you can do it in 3 different ways. One of them is automatic removal of pre-specified identifiers, which we already talked about. Date shifting is another way to de-identify the data, and automatic removal of text and note fields is other option. So you can develop quick reports for quality control in RedCAP. So it's a very, very useful feature because you can specify exactly what you want to be in your reports. So let's say you want to say, for example, this is specific instrument with this specific field you want to be in the report, and you can even put like filters saying that, for example, when the age is between this and that, or diagnosis is, this and that. So RedCAP is going to just go ahead and generates the report for you based on your criteria. Audit logs is another like type of reporting, again, because you can see, what happened to your project, who did what in your project. So that is also another reporting option in RedCAP. So I'm gonna stop here the slides and go into RedCAP. Okay. So to get access to RedCAP at UT instance, the link is redcap.uthsc.edu. So if you click on that, this is a login page. So with your credential, you can just log into your RedCAP account. So the thing is, not everyone has, by default, has access to RedCAP. So if you want to get access to RedCAP, you have to fill out our request form, which is on the CBMI web page, and then we can grant you access. So it's not a thing that with your UTNet ID and password, by default, you can go ahead and log into RedCAP. That's not the case. So anyway, with your credential, you're gonna log in, and this is the page. Okay, I'm trying to move this. Okay. I'm going to create a project, like a new project here, to show you how you can just go ahead and, create your project. So I'm going to say demo. So we'll always ask, what is the purpose of your project? If it is a practice or operational support, research, quality improvement, others. I'm going to say practice for this one, and then just create my project here. So this is my project setup page. So this is the name of the project. This is the project ID 1566. So mainly what you are doing in your project is going to be under project setup tab. So if you want to use your project as a survey, you're going to enable this feature. If you want to collect the longitudinal data, you need to enable this feature. So here is where you're designing your project or developing your project. You do have 2 different options here. So data dictionary is for people who already have like a RedCAP project somewhere in another institution, or they want to move it to UT. So if they do have the data dictionary, they can easily go ahead, import the data and a data dictionary, and then RedCAP generates the project for them automatically. But what we are doing here, if you want to create your project from scratch, you will use Online Designer. So if you click on that, this is a first instrument where RedCAP is just, creating by default for you. You can always rename it to whatever you need to. I'm gonna say demog, save it. If you just click on that, you can go inside the form. So remember I talked about the record ID or study ID, patient ID. So this is the field that RedCAP is just, using to keep track of the record. So we can always click on add field here. And as I mentioned, this is a pop-up window. So you can just drill down to this drop-down field and, whatever you want to choose. I'm gonna say text box, first name. I'm going to show you very quickly. So variable name, you don't need to get worried about that. So just click on enable auto naming. RedCAP is going to take care of it for you. So I'm going to say, I'm going to say if this is a, if we want to put any validation here. So for sure, for first name, we don't need to put any validation. But, these are all the validation that we have: social security, phone numbers, and, different decimals. If it is a required or not, let's say yes. If it is an identifier or not, let's say yes, and save it. So basically, this is how you are making like a field. We are just building a field. So let me just go back to my projects. I do have a test project here, so I don't want to, just take that much time. So this is, for example, one of the projects that we have. We are going to ask some question about the enrollment to, to just give our participants like to use the survey. And then there are some videos here. We just put some fun Easter recipes here. And then we are asking if you like the recipe or not. So we use this project as a survey. So that's why we do have a survey distribution tools here. So if you just click on that, you will see all different options to distribute your survey. So this is a public link. This is a customized link. For example, I put Easter recipe at the end, so you can always customize it. There's a QR code here if you want to use it. So let me just show you how it looks. I just copied the link, paste it here. So this is our survey saying that, okay, what's your name, Parya? I'm not gonna tell you guys my real birthday, but okay. And then female, and then here we can just say which one, which video you want to watch. Let's say easier dinner ideas, and then you'll watch it, and then you're gonna answer like question and submit it. And this is the way you just, submit data via like survey. Add edit records is where you can just collect the data like manually without like sending the survey yourself if you want to add records. So if you just click on add records, going, for example, to demographics, then you're gonna have, you're gonna fill out the form and save and exit the form. So this is the way you are just capturing data. I need to mention this. We are getting run out of time. I just need to mention there are so many great videos, like tutorial videos here in RedCAP in the application. So if you just open this video tutorials over here, you'll see so many video tutorials here, and also under each and every module you will find. So for example, for the data entry, so they do have a great video over here. Again, going back to project setup, for example, for the survey, you will find a very good video how to manage and create a survey. under online designer, where we went to just create, our instruments, there's a how to use this page. So in each and every features and modules here in RedCAP, you can find a very good documentation or like video tutorials. So for example, under data exports and reports, you can find a great video. And this is where I was talking about the reports, that you can just customize your your reports in a way you want to be generated by RedCAP. So I'm going to stop it here because I need to finish my presentation. So, okay. So regarding the security and integrity of RedCAP, again, audit log is a security feature for RedCAP, and role-based user rights. So in RedCAP, you can have different roles for your project. Let's say the PI, the project manager, the data entry, the project designer. So, and you can just grant them, the appropriate privilege that you want. Not everyone in your project needs to have like access to everything. So you can just, manage that in a role-based fashion. And there's an annual risk analysis on RedCAP. And with developing a standard operating procedure for training, access, risk management, and test plans, definitely we can, just help with the security in RedCAP. And regularly scheduled network security scans, which we have definitely for our instance at UT, and regularly receive updates. We are doing it we are trying to do it less than 6 months, like 2-3 times a year. We are getting all the updates and upgrades of the application, and data stored in the data center and backup nightly. So every night we are getting backups in case, anything went wrong. So we do have the introductory sessions for RedCAP on a monthly basis at Center for Biomedical Informatics at UTHSC. We had it before pandemic in both person and Zoom, but right now we only offer Zoom. And we require for at least one project member to attend. And there are some Vanderbilt tutorials available like free on web. And as I mentioned, there are excellent step-by-step instruction through all modules that you can find. And of course, peer training is something that is gonna be super helpful. So please visit our website. It is at UTHSC CBMI services. RedCAP is one of our services, but as Lokesh mentioned, we do have like EDW, TriNetX, other databases that we can help you with your studies or project with. So Vanderbilt University websites for RedCAP is project-redcap.org. And for further information, please contact us. redcap@uthsc.edu is our email address. Thank you so much. And we are ready for any questions.
I see a question. I think there's some clarification that's needed. RedCAP is a database instrument for researchers to capture their own data. It doesn't contain patient data like TriNetX. Is that correct?
Yes, basically RedCAP is a data capture tool. So you don't have anything in it. We are just assigning like a storage on the server to each and every project so that users can go ahead and capture their data into RedCAP. But what EDW is, it's another story. That is a database. So everything is ready there. So Lokesh can go ahead.
Yeah. So again, on TriNetX, we don't have any data at all. So all the data is available in the enterprise data warehouse. And again, we de-identify it and make it a limited data set. And TriNetX only has access to the counts, like the tabular summary of the limited data set. So that is that is a security feature that we have.
I do not see any other questions at this time. So thank you both for presenting today. The information can definitely help us with our research in the future. And we appreciate also you offering like individual training for researchers on campus and associated with us to help us understand these platforms a little bit better. And thanks to everyone for attending today. Our next session will be next Tuesday, the 20th. The title will be Protocol and Study Measures Training, the Importance of Accuracy and Consistency. And our presenter will be Dr. Misty Thompson, which some of you may know from her time here at UTHSC in the IRB. So I hope everyone has a great rest of your day. And thanks again for presenting for us. Oh, I see. Hold on a minute. More questions came in. Do you need to always have IRB approval for data capture?
So for RedCAP, if the project is in development mode, which we are giving access to our client to the development mode first, no, you don't need IRB. You can just go ahead, create your project, capture your data, make yourself, not the real data, like a test data, to just make sure the functionality of the project is working and everything. So for development phase of the project, no, we don't need IRB approval. But once you want to push your project into production to capture real data, yes, at that time, we need the IRB approval so that we can push your project to production.
Okay, I think that was all. Thank you very much, both of you. We appreciate it.
Sure, thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.